So we will start today's webinar. So a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining us today for the very first ICF Sustainability Webinar Series webinar. And today we're going to be looking at sustainability and the future of paddle sport in our first webinar. We have a few things that we want to get through today, a few learning outcomes. The first is quite a general question. So why environmental sustainability is a core priority for paddle sports and sports in general. Then we're going to have two presentations. We've got two national federations from India and the Philippines who are talking about how they are addressing environmental challenges and opportunities in very, very different ways. And then we'll talk about a little bit more generally about the action that we can all take together to safeguard the future of the sport. We're going to kick off with some introductory remarks from the ICF President, Thomas Konietzko, and the ICF Vice President, Cecilia Farias, before... I think I've stopped sharing my screen. Before we move on to our key presentations today. My name is Matthew Campelli, and I am your moderator for today, and I'll be giving you your first presentation. Following me, we have Vilquis Mir, who is the chairperson of the Indian Kayaking and Canoe Association, and that will be followed by Leonora Escalante, the president of the Philippine Canoe Kayak Dragon Boat Federation. So what are we going to discuss today? As I said, we'll have our opening remarks from the ICF leadership, and then we'll talk more generally about environmental sustainability and paddle sport. We'll have a little bit of an overview. Then we'll move to the two presentations from the Indian Federation and the Philippine Federation before we have a Q&A at the very end. If you have questions for me or any of our speakers, please feel free to put your questions into the chat throughout the presentation, and we'll try and get through as many as possible at the end. But now I'd like to stop sharing my screen and hand over for our opening remarks, and I'd like to hand over the floor to the ICF President, Thomas Konietzko, for our opening presentation. Thomas, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Matthew. Good morning, good evening. I know that for some of you it's in the middle of the night, and I really appreciate your participation. And I would like to thank you for participating in this webinar and for your commitment to sustainable canoeing. The responsibility for international sports federation has changed in recent years. We are no longer just organizer of sporting events, but we must also face all the problems of our society. And the protection of our environment is a strategically important area. And that is why we have, as ICF, identified sustainability as one of the most important strategic goals and as one of our key pillars in our Fit for Future strategy. And we all know from our own experience that no other sport is affected by climate change so much as ours. Every day we experience how important it is to protect our environment, our sporting space, and how we have to fight with floods or periods of drought sometime. And we need to define the concept of sustainability very broadly. It's not just only about protecting our environment, but also about examining all our behaviors, but also how we can make training and competitions more sustainable, how we can adapt our daily behaviors so that we use all our resources more carefully, efficiently, and effectively. And I'm very grateful to the today's speakers, Cecilia, Mathieu, Mia Bilkis from India, Coach Len from Philippines, for addressing these issues, presenting best practice models from our sport, and working hard every day to promote with role models sustainable sport activities in their countries. And I would like to emphasize at this point that with your help, we as ICF are already well on our way to implementing many projects on all our continents, and that we have implemented already many best practice models. For example, we are collaborating with the IOC and the United Nations Environment on initiatives like the Clean Seas, protect to combat plastic pollution in waterways. By joining the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 2024, the ICF aligns with global efforts to address climate change, utilizing verified standards to measure, reduce, and report greenhouse gas emissions, or simply with activities around the globe to collecting with our athletes waste on waterways. Additionally, the ICF has signed onto the Sports for Nature framework alongside Paris 2024 and other sports organizations, pledging to uphold key principles that promote biodiversity, conservation, and environmental sustainability. And we also, a key part of the development environmental project, which was finished last year this year during the Milano World Championship under Erasmus, and we increase with this project the awareness for sustainability, and we foster the adoption of environmental management and circular economy practices by sport key actors in order to improve sustainability during our competitions. We have also commenced our strategic partnership with Alibaba Cloud in 2023, one of the biggest players in this field, located in China. And we are supported by Alibaba's AI toolkit. The comprehensive database generated from our events provides us with a holistic view of our carbon footprint that makes it much easier to establish realistic objectives and to achieve them. And it's now crucial. And this webinar today that's why this webinar is today so important, to forward this message to all our athletes and officials around the world, how important sustainable behavior and sport and canoeing is for all of us. And you are today here, ICF ambassadors for sustainability. And you all, and we all, must lead by example and raise awareness and enthusiasm for this topic among many of our stakeholders in the clubs and national federations around the world. And again, finally, I would like to express again my sincere thanks for your dedication, commitment to sustainable canoeing. And I wish you all today a successful discussion today under the leadership of our Vice President, very strong one, Cecilia Fares, who prepared this webinar and was mastermind behind. So good luck for the discussions today, and I'm very curious to listen to you today. So thank you, Mathieu, and I pass back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll pass straight over to the ICF Vice President, Cecilia Fares, for her opening remarks. Cecilia, please unmute your mic and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening around the world. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ICF Sustainability Webinar Series. The International Canoe Federation renews its commitment to sustainability by incorporating climate actions into the planning and delivery of all our sport events, training, and community engagement from 2026. We have initiated this pathway with the creation of our toolkit to promote environmental awareness and to support initiatives to reduce carbon footprints. The waters of the planet Canoe are not our sole concern, but the planet itself for the generations to come. The signature of agreements with the UN, such as Sport for Climate Action and Preservation of the Natural Environment, have been important milestones. However, the transition from wording to action has been challenging. We had to educate ourselves to understand the true meaning of our commitment to preservation and construction of a better planet. Our sport organizations have a crucial role to play, being the vehicle that will bring us to a more complete approach from canoeing to circular economy. The DEC project, which stands for Development, Environment, Circular Knowledge, had an important space in the ICF Sustainability through dedicated webinar series to the tools that you can find on our webpage. It is important that its principles and actions are the ones to be applied since 2026. Our continents are different in development, resources, and legislation. While some countries have strict laws enforced with the purpose of reducing carbon footprint, others do not. Yet their citizens are still sensitive to the responsibility that each of us have towards the planet. We intend throughout this series to learn and share implemented projects that will certainly help all of us to advance sustainability. There is not just a sense of urgency, but it urges us to act. And quoting Sir David Attenborough, the final chapter is ours to write. We know what we need to do. What happens next is up to us. And with this short introduction, I wish to go back to our expert, Matthew Campelli, to help us to navigate the canoeing waters of the planet with a strong commitment to making it truly sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. There's very two nice opening addresses there, and I'm actually very pleased. Both you and the president used two very important words there. The president mentioned strategic, that sustainability is a strategic topic now, and you talked about responsibility, the responsibility of sport. I became fascinated with environmental sustainability in sport about 10 years ago when I was watching the Rio Olympics in 2016. And I became fascinated with it when I saw that athletes and how athletes were competing in polluted places with polluted waters. And I remember thinking that this is what I wanted to devote my time to and my career to. And for the past 10 years, I've been working with sports organizations to try and assess environmental risks and opportunities related to sport. And it's clear that not just paddle sport, but all sport exists because of nature. And because of that, we have to think about it not just from an ethical perspective, but from a strategic perspective as well. It affects all of our businesses and our sports. I suppose the best way that I can describe it is there is this kind of two-way relationship between sport and the environment. Sport very much depends on the natural environment, and it also has an impact on the natural environment. Now, I'm not sure if there is anyone here from the Slovenian Canoe Federation, but one very good example of sport being impacted by the natural environment was when the High Performance Center near Ljubljana was destroyed by a storm a few years ago. And this really shows how vulnerable sports and sports infrastructure can be when it comes to extreme weather, like big storms and extreme heat. And the way that climate change is the trajectory is going, we're going to see more storms, more extreme and more frequent, which means there are more risks when it comes to sport. And at the same time, sport also contributes to environmental issues as well. There are greenhouse gas emissions linked to sport, with our travel, with the things that we produce, with kit, and with the way that we conduct ourselves in natural environments. And I suppose the relationship manifests in a few ways: through event delivery, athlete health, and through very practical things like cost, insurance, and infrastructure, which is why environmental sustainability should be and is a core part of sport business. In my mind, there are kind of three environmental pillars when we think about sport and sustainability. The first is climate action. We spoke a little bit about that in the previous slide, but also biodiversity and materials and consumption. Biodiversity is an interesting one when it comes to paddle sport and canoe. Over the past year or so, I've spoken to a number of national canoe federations who have talked to me about some of the issues they faced from a nature perspective. Things like toxic algae blooms in rivers that are impacting the health of people who are paddling. And at the same time, when we move kit, canoes and equipment around the world, there's a risk that we are bringing invasive species to other parts of the world and degrading water quality as well. So again, we see this two-directional relationship between sport and the environment. Earlier this year, I worked with a friend of mine who is a professor, and he's a leader of an organization called the Sport Ecology Group. His name's Walker Ross, and he is an expert looking at how the environment is impacting sport. And he looked at paddle sport specifically, and he unpacked four major risks that we're looking at when it comes to the environment. The first of these risks is postponement and cancellation of events, potentially when it comes to extreme heat, extreme weather, droughts, flooding, storm, and also, again, very practical stuff like the rising costs of insurance and operating costs. And if we unpack this more, we really have to think about human health, human safety, and again, practical things like economic issues that are linked to the environment. When we think about athlete performance, we think about extreme heat and how it can impair decision making. Extreme heat impairs all of our decisions. There's no coincidence that traffic accidents increase significantly when it's very warm and it's very hot, when it's above 30 degrees Celsius. Because when it's hot, sometimes we're not optimal at making decisions. So we have to think about it from an athlete performance and health perspective. Again, we have to think about it from an infrastructure perspective as well. We talked about the Slovenian case in the earlier presentation, damage to venues, travel delays, supply chain interruptions that we have no real control over, and insurance premiums. Over the past few years, the amount of insurance claims that have gone around climate change and climate impacts have been around $720 billion in insurance losses globally around to climate change impact. So there's some very real practical economic issues that any venue operator or owner should be looking at. In Europe, I'll look at a couple of particular areas. In Europe, we're seeing things get warmer. The south of Europe is becoming drier. The north is becoming wetter. There are storms, floods, rising seas, wildfires. And we'll see as we look across these different regions that practically every single region globally is being impacted by climate change and other environmental risks, but we're seeing it in different ways in different areas. So everyone has got their own specific risks. And this is important when we look at things from an event organization point of view. How can we mitigate these risks? How can we adapt to these climate risks as we start to plan and prepare our events? In North America, where the Summer Olympic Games will be held in 3 years' time, just under 3 years' time, they're facing severe droughts and wildfires. I think we saw in California a year ago the devastation that was wreaked by wildfires. Tropical cyclones, severe storms. Again, we saw Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica and the Caribbean a few months ago, which was extremely, extremely intense. And because of the way that climate change is continuing to evolve, it's likely that we'll continue to see these storms become more extreme and more severe. Something we have to take into consideration again when we're preparing and organizing our events. And similarly in South America as well, where we're seeing water shortages, flood risk, wildfires. But this is true of every region around the world. Every region will have their own particular risks. But I don't want to come here today with just doom and gloom and negative messages, because actually sport has got a fantastic opportunity. Paddle and canoe as a sport has got a fantastic opportunity to be part of the solution. So a couple of years ago, I had the privilege of working on a piece of work looking at how whitewater venues in particular could advance a number of the sustainable development goals. Some were social, some were economic, but some were environmental as well. And there were a few things that really stuck out at me around how some whitewater venues could support urban water management. But one of the things that really struck out was the adaptation quality of some of these areas, around how the planting of native plants in these areas could reduce the risk of flooding, which is coming with climate change, and how many venues are looking at lowering their energy consumption, using renewable energy, and also reducing the materials that they're using as well. So there's a real focus on not just doing sustainability as a separate project, but as a core part of what the sport is doing, making life better in different parts of people's lives, from environment to social to economic as well. The president mentioned this earlier on in his opening address around sports' wider response to these issues. The Sports for Nature framework and the Sports for Climate Action framework look at two different but very linked parts of the environment: climate change and nature. And both of these frameworks have several hundred signatories. The ICF, of which is a signatory to both of these frameworks. And these frameworks are a convening platform for sports globally to work together and address some of these issues that are impacting sport. The president said quite rightly that paddle and canoe is a sport that is extremely vulnerable to climate change, but it's not the only one. All sports have got some vulnerability, particularly outdoor sports, snow sports, pitch sports, sports that take place by coastal areas. All sports will have their own unique risks. And that's why these frameworks are really, really important for a convening opportunity for sport to work together to address these risks and find opportunities. I want to finish off by talking about the opportunities that sport is facing as well. It's not just about risks. There's an opportunity to increase the value of sport, to increase the value by increasing the connection with athletes and fans. Athletes in particular are so connected to the natural environment. They're the ones who are being impacted mainly by the extreme heat, by the algae blooms in the rivers, by poor air quality, and they will know to what extent their health and performance is being affected by these topics. And it's important for federations and other people and other organizations who are protectors of sport to take environmental sustainability strategically and seriously, because athletes want to know that federations are doing what they can to protect their health and their well-being. We've also seen that a really intrinsic focus on environmental sustainability increases value for sports organizations. It's a value add for sponsors. It's a value add for host cities. It gives these organizations and these entities a credible platform to showcase what they're doing. Big brands and cities will have their own climate targets and their own targets around sustainability. And if any sport can showcase a credible platform, then this is a real value add for these stakeholders and these organizations. And most importantly, it increases the resilience of the sport. We want to be able to sit here in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time and talk about a healthy and growing and prosperous canoe industry and community. In the same way, ski and football and other sports want to talk about a prosperous future and a prosperous present. And for that, we need to increase the resilience of our sport. We need to protect our venues. We need to reduce disruption, and we need to make sure that our sport remains viable. It means we may have to adapt along the way, but we have to remain viable as a sport. So that was just a very quick presentation because I'd like to hand over to our two main speakers today. But if there are any questions about my part of the presentation, please feel free to put your questions into the chat and I'll try and answer them as we get through the end of the webinar. I will stop sharing my screen now because I would like to hand over to our second speaker, Bill Chris from the Indian Federation. He's going to talk about a very interesting project around looking at the cleanup of lakes. Bill Chris, please, it's your time to take the spotlight.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone present here. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the respected President of ICF, all dignitaries, and all my friends from around the world. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to ICF, Indian Kayaking Canoeing Association, for giving me this opportunity to speak about this important mission, sustainability through paddle sports, and each of you for being here today. For the past 5 years, I have been deeply involved in the sustainability initiatives focused on the use of paddle sports and the restoration of our Pokrible Lake. It has also been a moral commitment. It has truly been a mission, a journey shaped by challenges, continuous learning, and meaningful impacts today. I will be sharing the key step we implemented and innovation we adopted, how these collective efforts helped us bring the lakes back to full functional state. My hope is that this presentation inspire more sustainability practices and encourage similar restoration initiative in other regions as well. With that, let us begin my presentation. I will share. How it started. 5 years back, I began searching for ideal waterfront for training. During this search, I incidentally discovered Pokhribal Lake, located in the Srinagar, J&K. I immediately observed the rapid destruction of the lake due to the pollution dumping and years of negligence. My journey with Pokhribal Lake. Journey began with the care of for other lakes like Dal Lake, Nigin Lake, Wooler Lake, and many other across the Jammu and Kashmir. Pokhribal Lake instantly got my attention because it is an ideal waterfront for kayaking and canoeing. I saw potential where others only viewed the garbage and neglect. When I started as a personal mission, soon turned into a collective efforts. Initially it was just a 20 of my athletes there. Became a mission with the involvement of civil society group, school students, and local residents. It turned into a mission, major lake restoration of J&K. Today,
Sorry, Belkris.
sustainability.
Sorry, Belkris. You've stopped sharing your screen. We can't see your presentation anymore. Sorry to interrupt.
Now it's visible?
No, not yet. Not yet.
No.
No,
Now
no stress. Take your time.
It's visible?
It's not
One
yet.
minute.
Try and if you click on the share button on the
1 minute.
Yeah, now we're sharing. If you share your presentation, we can see it. You're sharing your screen.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you go to a presentation, should be fine.
Yeah, my journey is already, I already share with you about my journey. And it was just along with my 20 students. Now it's a mission for us, and all the school and colleges are involving, and civil society. Cleaning process. Garbage removal, daily collection and disposal of solid waste and dumped material with the help of Lake Development Authority. Removing barriers and obstacles to restore natural water flow. Regular monitoring to check pollution level and ecological health. Dividing and surface cleaning, removing aquatic weeds and unhealthy vegetation. Shoreline restoration, rebuild clean, safe and stable lake edges. Persistence lake cleaning mission. Weekly cleaning commitments that the lake mission is conducted every Saturday without fail. Continuous awareness programs, regular awareness sessions are held to educate the community about the importance of cleanliness and conservation. All local paddlers and sports clubs have been made mandatory to take part in a compulsory lake cleaning activities involving J&K Lake Conservation and Management Authority. Along high-end aquatic weed harvest machines, school and colleges, students, civil society. Conservation at the core, We keep environment conservation at the heart of our mission, ensure long-term sustainable. Next, 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I'm sharing another my slide. Just 1 minute. I have to take this here. My initiative on International Water Day on 22nd March 2025. Positive impact on a community and media. A large-scale cleanliness and awareness event that boost and motivate the entire community. Strengthening public awareness, created general awareness about water conservation and the urgency to protect local lakes. Mobilized youth and local residents, inspired youth groups, students and residents to actively participate in the lake cleaning mission. Linked environment with the paddle sports, demonstrated how paddle sports can directly support sustainability, restoration, and responsible lake use. Significant media coverage, the initiative attracted strong media attention, resulting in a positive coverage and greater visibility for the lake restoration movement. Transformation of Pokhribal Lake. It for pollution to purpose. Pokhribal was once a polluted, neglected, and unused lake, suffering from garbage dump and water pollution. After restoration, today Pokhribal has transformed into a functional and vibrant waterfront, used for kayaking, canoeing activities, rowing, endurance and sprint trainings, youth development program, and also picnic spot for a local residents. A living example of community driven revival sustained efforts turned a dying lake into a growing center for water sports and community activities. A model example of sustainable lake revival in Kashmir, India, Pokhribal stands as a benchmark. Replicable across Kashmir, the Pokhribal model can be implemented for other lakes in J&K to restore ecological while promoting paddle sports. Sustainability plus sports is equivalent long-term impact. Overall impact of the transformation of Pokhribal Lake. Ideal training waterfront for athletes. Athletes finally received a perfect, safe, and professional quality waterfront for kayaking and canoeing training. Rising trainees and national achievements with increased participation. Many trainees gain national recognition, and recently one athlete trained here won a gold medal, proving success of the restoration. Restored lake permitted us to conduct regular state and national level competition. Boost to the tourism, national level events have attracted visitors, promoting sports, tourism in this region. Students, local residents, and volunteers developed a strong sense of environmental responsibility through hand-on participation. Pokhribal has become an outdoor classroom for sustainability and living laboratory where students learn about ecology, conservation, and water management. Youth engagement through sports. The lake is now a hub for a youth engagement promoting healthy lifestyles and interest in apparel sports. Beauty and biodiversity preservation, the restoration enhanced the natural beauty of the lake and supported the protection of aquatic life. These are the fully, from pollution to purpose. You can see now, this is a Pokrible Lake where we hold so many activities whole the year. My message as a kayaking canoeing athlete and guardian of our lakes, I believe sustainability is not a choice. It is our responsibility and duty. The future of paddle sports depend on the healthy of water bodies. Clean lakes create strong athlete safe grounds, training safe grounds, and opportunity for global competition. When we protect our lakes, we are also protecting the future of our sports, our communities, and our youth. Paddle sports can become a global voice for conservation, inspiring the world to value water as life itself. Thanks a lot. This was a presentation done by, from last 5 years, and this is one of the benchmark for us to restore the Pokrible Lake now water sports hub. Thank you.
Fantastic, Bill, Chris. Thank you very much for that great presentation. It sounds like one of the most interesting projects I've ever heard about in this space. It sounds like you've done such an amazing job to restore that lake, and I think it shows two things: that you restored the lake, but it showed the value that sustainability brings to sport. You talked about athletes being able to take part more. It showed that the community came together around it. You had some media coverage. It was very, very nice, very, very nice presentation. So thank you, Bill, Chris, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to hand over to Leonora, who'll talk about her project with the Philippine Federation. Leonora, please, the floor is yours. Well, Leonora, we can't hear you so well. Maybe you're on mute. We can't hear you so well. No, we can't hear you, and you're not on mute. I'm not sure. Maybe try and unmute yourself. No, we can't hear you, Leonora, I'm afraid. No. Maybe you have some headphones? When we tried before, it was working, but we can't hear you now. Maybe you have some headphones we can try, or maybe there's something with the. No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Maybe try and leave the call and come back in. That could work. Okay. So everyone, we'll just wait for Leonora to try and come back, and hopefully we'll get you some sound. If Leonora comes back and we can't hear her, then I will do maybe a few questions with our previous speakers while we wait for Leonora to to get her presentation arranged. Just give her a minute or so to come back in.
Maciej, Prashant has raised his hand and will ask a question, maybe. Our Asian
Sure.
president.
We can go for a quick question while we wait for Leonora. Please, feel free to either to put your question into the chat, because I'm not sure you're able to unmute. Maybe I'll give you the chance to ask a question. I will allow you to use your mic. If you unmute yourself, Prashant, you can ask your question. Are you able to unmute yourself? Cecilia, go ahead.
Thank you, Matthew. While we try to receive back Len for her presentation, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Bilkis for not just for the presentation, but for the action that she has taken, and my congratulations for the success of that project. Sometimes when we find a situation that is so evident that requires to be repaired, it signifies a tremendous challenge, and we wonder if we would be able to do it. And definitely you were able to do it. But my question is related to how was the engagement with the authorities? Through your presentation, I can see machinery. I imagine there is a manpower required, since you mentioned that every Saturday there is a removal of weed. So that's a never-ending task. Do you have support from the local authorities? How was your approach to those authorities? How did you convince them? Was it necessary to convince them, or they were already sensitive to this, to the importance of maintaining a lake that will bring, not just be as it used to be by creation, but also to provide this space for athletes and for families, which is very important also. So when the community goes there, makes picnic, bring their children, and they see that there is a practice of sport, that's a very, very important sport. So it goes definitely beyond, it went beyond your 20 athletes or the quantity of athletes that you may have at that time. How was that? How was the approach? How did you convince them?
First when we start, it was just as I mentioned in my presentation, it was 20 athletes. But when suddenly there was a change, we start paddling there, we make little activities there. It was a little steps and small steps, and we move forward. Every Saturday people watch us, see us, that they are doing something. In next Saturday we had a more than 50. Then it goes up, and Lake Development Authority approach us. They said, we really want to help you. What sort of help you want? And because with the 1 year efforts, they understand, they are changing something, like how we push for this activity, because paddle sports help that sport. Because it was attracting local residents, everyone. They say, no, we can start this activity here. Because of canoeing, kayaking activities, this lake is now, what I say, from pollution to purpose. And then Lake Development Authority approach us, and they say, yes, definitely we want to help you, Bilkis. What sort of manpower you require? Like I show you the weed harvesting machines. It is like, you know, it requires a lot of logistic support. But now they push us, they support us, and now it is mandatory in two lakes. One is Dal Lake and one is in Pokriba Lake, where we do every Saturday this cleaning drive. Even NGOs approach us after that, because you know, whatever we do, it was in all newspaper, and everybody was happy to see that something, you know, positive is going on there, and we want to help these athletes, we want to help this organization. And now it is a big you know, revolution, and it's a mission. You know, it is not a project for me, it was never project. Now it is a mission, you know, project we do and after finish. But now it's a mission. It's a mission. How paddle sports will help when you start, you know, nobody can stop you. Just your aim and object is there, you want to do this, you will. Where there is a will, there is a way. So that's why now development authority, even smart city people are helping us now, and this lake development authority is also helping us, because we conduct so many events there. Now it's a picnic spot in the heart of city. Before, nobody want to go there. Now people come and watch the competition, people come have the activity, and it's now healthy. I can say it's the best club there in heart of city in Kashmir.
So you are, I'm very happy to hear this, and I'm very happy to know that this initiative comes from a woman, because you know that we work on the development program in the ICF, and under the umbrella of the Sustainable Development Program, we have diversity and inclusion, and we have sustainability. So you combine all the aspects together, and I am so happy about this.
Thanks to my federation, Indian
Yes.
Kayaking Canoeing Federation, who always support me. It was not easy being, you know, being a girl from Kashmir, that too, you know, the such places where we have a lot of challenges. But I must congratulate Indian Kayaking Canoeing Association, who wholeheartedly support me always. So thanks to ICF also, ICF president, who always encourage me, and that's why we want to really move forward, and we will start more activities, and we'll make this compulsory, because you know. If we really want to, all the lakes like around in my place, yeah, in India, it should be a functional, and you know, paddle sports can make a big change.
Good. Just to close my comments, I think that what you are describing is the transformation of a project into a mission in life. And the content, in my personal opinion, is the ingredient of the passion. When we move to that mission in life, it's a passion involved, right? And the other point that I want to remark, what you presented to us is very much linked with the presentation of Matthew, when he spoke about create a credibility platform to showcase climate responsibility. So definitely observing the execution of your project, the involvement of the authorities, the result that is a benefit, it's a larger benefit probably than the one that you conceived when you launched this project. I think that these are the proofs that we are able to pass from the theory to the action. And last but not least, I would like to mention the comment of our Dr. Jane Gibson, who is in attendance to this webinar. And Jane is mentioning something very important. She says, I was very pleased to hear your emphasis on the health and well-being of the athletes and officials. So the project itself has so many phases, so many aspects, and at the end, the successful projects show that the effort worth. And Matthew, I go back to you.
Okay.
Thank
Maybe
you.
we are. Thank you, Bilkis.
Perfect timing, perfect timing. There is one more question for you, Bilkis, but Leonora is back, and I think I can hear her now. So Leonora, I think you're back. Maybe you can share your presentation. Can you try and talk to see if we can hear you? Leonora? We can hear you. We can hear you.
You can hear me.
We can see your screen.
Hello, can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yes, we can hear you. Fantastic.
Ah,
Please, Leonardo, the floor is yours.
okay. So, hi, good day, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you, ICF, especially to our President Tomas Konietzko and Vice President Cecilia Farias for inviting me to be one of your guest speakers, and fellow Federation to bringing us together. As President of the Philippine Canoe and Kayak Federation, I speak not only as a leader, but as a paddler who has seen how our waters mirror the health of our planet. As we paddle together for climate action, we paddle for the planet. Allow me to briefly introduce myself as one of your speakers for today. My name is Leonora Escoliante, President of the Philippine Canoe Kayak and Dragon Boat Federation and the Executive Board Member of our NOC. Our topic for today is about paddle together for climate action. This is about shaping the future of paddle sport through sustainability. This advocacy was launched as a climate positive campaign during the ICF Dragon Boat World Championship held in the city of Puerto Princesa, Palawan last October 2024. Our objective is to create awareness, carbon footprint reduction, and sustainable practices. The key action was one, our team joined the Save Puerto Princesa Bay, initiated by the city government of Puerto Princesa, headed by Mayor Lucilo Bayron, and eco-friendly logistic, cut single-use plastics, reusable hydration, and community cleanups, wall painting, beautification of the Baywalk area before races. Partnership, of course, partnership with the local government unit of Puerto Princesa, Palawan. The impact was hundreds of athletes joined the cleanups and also the LGUs and other barangays with the hope to inspire the community, club teams, and federation worldwide. Why we are here? Our sports depend on healthy rivers, lakes, and oceans. Climate change, pollution, and plastic waste are not distant threats. They are realities we face every time we paddle. Every stroke we take is tied to the health of our waters. Protecting them is not an option or optional. It is essential. Why we are here? So the challenge we face is rising temperatures and unpredictable weather affect training and competitions. Plastic pollution and waste endanger both ecosystem and athlete safety. We are frontliner, witnesses to environmental change, and we cannot ignore what we see. Based on the recent studies made by International Union for Conservation of Nature, published in May 2024, and the Stockholm Resilience Center, Stockholm University, published in November 2024. They found out that the global average temperature has already risen to 1.1 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels. Driver more extreme heat waves, floods, and storms that disrupt outdoor sports. A survey during 2024 found out that 56% of outdoor sports events worldwide reported disruption due to climate-related factors, while 85% worldwide affected by plastic pollution and athlete safety, while over 460 million metric tons of plastic are produced annually, only 9% is recycled. An estimated of 20 million metric tons of plastic litters enters the environment each year, contaminating rivers, lakes, and ocean. Study shows that 75% of freshwater bodies worldwide now certain measurable plastic contamination. Its impact on paddle sport. Athletes are frontliners witnesses. Polluted waters affect training, safety, and community health. The climate positive campaigns like Paddle Together will respond with eco-friendly logistic like cleanups, youth education, and partnership. Moving forward, our commitment to sustainability is to institutionalize green practices and standardize checklist in all events. Mandatory cleanup activities, green transport logistics, climate education in athletes development, inspire federation worldwide, and position paddle sport as ambassador for climate action. Advocating paddle sports as a climate action ambassador, this slide highlight a projection growth. Cleanup campaign participation rising from 2022 around 150 to over 1,200 campaigns by 2025, with numbers expected to keep climbing in the years ahead. Our goal is to reduce carbon footprints, raise awareness, and inspire action. Our sport is not just a race against each other. This is our race against time to protect our planet. So call to action. The future of our paddle sport depends on the future of our planet. Small step equals big collective impact. Together, we protect sports and environment. Every paddler, organizer, supporter has a role. Let us paddle together, not only across finish lines, but toward a sustainable future. It is more than a campaign. It is a movement uniting athletes, communities, and federations. We cut single-use plastic and introduce reusable hydration systems. We organize community cleanup drive before races. We engage youth, linking paddling with environmental education. We build partnership with local government and NGOs to amplify impact. We paddle not just for medal, but for the planet. So thank you, ICF, for Spotlight Sustainability and fellow federation for joining this movement. Together, we can ensure that both our sport and our planet thrive. Let's keep paddling forward for the planet, for the athletes, and for the generation to come. Where paddling sport meets planet protection, as we paddle together for climate action, we paddle for the planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leonora. That was a fantastic presentation. It was very interesting to see how you get the athletes involved. And I was particularly interested to see the number of athletes taking part in the cleanups and how that will increase in the coming years. That was a fascinating piece of information. We're coming towards the hour mark, but we do have some questions. So maybe we can do a few of these questions. We have a question from the audience from Mr. Prashant Kushwaha, who's I think is the Asian Confederation president. And his question is, what were the major challenges around your projects? And what do you plan in the future? Any enhancements around your projects? Maybe Bilquis will give Leonora a break quickly, and maybe we'll come to you with a question first. If you can unmute your mic, Bilquis.
Yeah. Because environmental sustainability became a priority for us and for sports paddle when we realized that our playgrounds, our rivers and lakes are directly affected by a pollution and climate change over the years. We saw water quality declining and ecosystem getting damaged. There was major challenges when we start, but when we start, people join us, people support us this initiative. That's when it became a clear that protecting the environment is not just optional, it is essential for the future of our sports and for our athletes. So the major challenges was the initial first step, how we do, and now we focusing more sustainability practices and uh, will focus on expanding clean water initiatives, more eco-friendly practices in events, and involving youth in sustainability projects. And we are aiming, we aim to make every training and competition environment responsible and build long-term partnership and that protect our lakes and rivers.
Thanks, Bilquis. Leonora, what was when you were doing these projects and focusing on the cleanups and other environmental projects, what were the main challenges that you faced, and how do you see things changing in the future, enhancing in the future?
Actually, our federation site in Taytay Rizal in province of Rizal, we see firsthand how the climate change and pollution affect our athletes. Heavy rains and flooding often disrupt training, and unclean waters make condition unsafe. That's why our team not only trains there but also organizes regular cleanups in our area. These challenges goes beyond our team. It calls for proper education in the local community as well on waste management and sustainability. Uh, we also experience much better training condition at the camp provided by Palawan State University in the city of Puerto Princesa, where facilities are safer and more supportive. It shows us what possible when the environment is cared for and managed well. These two realities remind us why sustainability is no longer optional. It's central to how we train, compete, and represent paddle sport.
Thanks, Leonora. We have a question from Rude, who's asking a question about eco-friendly logistics. That's probably quite a broad topic to focus on for the final questions. But I believe we'll do a webinar in the future which will focus on more practical stuff around things like logistics. So look out for that one, Rude, and we can answer that question in much more detail. I have a question for both Bilquis and Leonora, and so there'll be people on this webinar who haven't started around environmental sustainability. They may not know where to start. They want to do a project, but they're not 100% sure where to begin. What advice would you give to them about how they can start? And this time, Leonora, we'll start with you first, and then we'll go to Bilquis. Leonora.
Okay, I think if we start small, but they have to start now. Begin with a simple action like reducing single-use plastic at events or even in trainings, or organizing cleanup with your local paddling community. These steps build momentum and partnership will follow. The key is consistency, small, visible action, inspire others, and grow into larger movements.
Bilquis, how about you? What's your advice? People
My
starting.
advice is simple that we have to start, and you do not need big funds or a big teams. Identify one problem around you, uploaded rivers, lake, or awareness, or no youth engagement, and take one practical action. That's very important. Talk to your community, involve a few volunteers, and build step by step. I can say the first step is not about perfection, it is about momentum. Once you begin, support and ideas will follow you. I'm that sure because I have an experience of this Pokreball Lake. Started with the 20 athletes. Now it's a mission for everyone to join us. So we have to start. And yes, of course, it should be like first step is not about perfection, it is a momentum. So let us start, and it will be support will be automatically with there. Thank you.
Thanks, Bilquis. We actually, before we wrap up, we have one question actually from Anna, which is specific to you, Leonora. She's saying it's very impressive the number of athletes increasing over the years engaging with this. How do you engage athletes? How do you get athletes involved in these projects?
Of course, impressive number of athletes increasing during the year. How do you engage them? We go to different provinces, especially on the LGUs. We collect athletes. We try them to be part of the paddling sport, even if we started from zero. Zero. They don't have any idea about paddling. But I usually told them, if you know how to swim, that's the most important for the start. And of course, step by step, we introduce, and then we cater all their needs, especially the equipment and safety measures. We teach them, and of course, all the way to the techniques.
Thank you, Leonora. Before we wrap up, Cecilia, any final reflections from you on today's proceedings, or any questions for our?
Well, thank you, Matthew. I have to tell you that I'm so happy with this beginning. It's so promising. And Len, congratulations for the presentation, but most important, congratulations for the work. I know Len since many years ago,
Yes.
since the time when she was a coach. So she is also the woman that shows the career that we women have the opportunity to develop in sport. She is now, as she presented herself, president of federation. She is a member of the board of directors of her Olympic Committee. And when women reach positions of decision, these allow them to take more actions, hopefully. And this is the case. So I celebrate this big time. One thing, Matthew, after seeing these two presentations that is on the surface, is that these actions go a little bit farther than what it is the preservation of the environment, and to me is the sense of cooperation and the reinforcement of the community service obligation that we all feel with our community, people from sport particularly. If you think that we have spoken here about floods, I live in a place that is flooded from time to time, and it is a disgrace for the people. It's not just water rising, it's people losing home, losing mattress, losing table, the basics for living. So I am sure that in case of this type of tragedies, because they are tragedies, these huge floods that go beyond the sport facilities, this community, these young people that together make these actions are keen to help, and certainly they do. So it's so many, there are so many positive effects out of this. And again, congratulations to the two ladies. And from my part, Matthew, we are near the closure of our webinar, and I want to say that the intention was, together with the support of Matthew, which I appreciate so much, we created this webinar series. Means we will have more of these encounters, and everyone will be informed. And the idea was to expose the work of that is being done in our 5 continents. And where there is no work that people is keen to present or they are at the beginning, Matthew will help us to understand how to initiate that work, because the importance today was highlighted, why we have to do. So our information, the webinars, everything will be posted on our webpage. There are some questions about how can they get, how and where they can find this information. And I really encourage everyone to visit our webpage on the section of development, where you will find these webinars and the webinars of the DEC project. Thank you, Anna, for joining us today. You will meet Anna very soon when she will speak about DEC. And I want to emphasize something. Last week in Budapest, in our ICF meetings, there was a decision which the president can confirm, so which is in 2026, we will implement the findings of the DEC project as obligatory on the ICF events. ICF is strongly committed to implement sustainability actions. And as Leonora said, it's urgent. It's now. It was yesterday, but we must do. And when we don't know, if we don't know, we go to the people that are more experienced and more knowledgeable, and that's why we have Matthew. And again, Matthew, thanks for helping us on this journey. So that's all from my part. Thanking, of course, the president's presence, who is endorsing these actions, who is happy, like me, when we see this progress from our national federations. That's all from my part. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the participants. And we wait for you at the next webinar.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Thank you very much for some nice reflections. Before we wrap up, Thomas, any final remarks or reflections from your side?
Oh, it was, I cannot agree more with Cecilia. It was such an impressive webinar with impressive examples, how we can change our small world. Mir with an example of transforming a dying lake into a growing water sport center, what makes not only a difference for our athletes, but also for the society around, and how you could engage so many people to help. Or Coach Lance example, and I could join the World Championship, and I know how sensitive people are about sustainability, and how you could manage to start with small number of people, 150, and change this activity into a movement with finally 1,500 people who are helping you. Those are great examples, and the message is we have to spread these examples as role models across our whole community to find still more 100,000 of ambassadors from our sport around the world, which know or realize how important sustainability is, not only for our sport, but for the society. And I'm proud that we can take part a little bit to make this world with our activities better. So thank you for all your activities.
Thank you very much. Yes, I agree. This was a very, very nice, very encouraging webinar with two fantastic case studies. And I'm glad we had the opportunity to hear about them and learn more about them. I suppose my reflections is that it's fantastic to see a strategic approach to sustainability more at the governance level, but the community. I think Cecilia, what you said was right, that this is more than the environment. It's about touching people and improving the lives of people and people's communities. And I think both of these examples were a fantastic example of that. Thank you everyone for joining us today as guests. Thank you for your questions, if you asked questions. Cecilia was right. We will be having a series of sustainability webinars. We'll be doing more editions of this in the new year, and we'll notify you about future editions of the sustainability series webinar. And again, a big thank you to our speakers today for giving us such a fantastic presentations. I hope everyone left a little bit more inspired, and we'll have a nice weekend. I look forward to seeing you soon, and take care and goodbye.
Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. More questions will be replied later. We take note of the questions on the chat. Thank you for being so active, participating.
Yes, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.